Hello, I'm Chris Duffin with Barefoot Athletics. I'm here today with Dr. Ray McClanahan, inventor of Correct Toes. So we want to spend a bunch of time talking to you about foot mechanics and footwear for athletes. So to give you a little bit of background about why we should be talking to you about that. So I happen to be an educator and strength coach in the strength and conditioning world, and I work with nearly every professional sport in the world, as well as a collegiate level. I'm also a strength athlete myself. You can look up the records, but I happen to be one of the strongest ground-based strength athletes in the world. Dr. Ray?
Awesome. So I'm a long-distance runner. I narrowly missed the Olympic trials in 2004. I mostly work with athletes, which is why it's an honor for me to be here with Chris today talking about foot health. Due to some of my own injuries, back in the 1990s, I invented a product called Correct Toes to reapproximate our feet back into their natural alignment. So Chris and I are going to talk today about a mutual project that we have that's going to make you guys your best athletic version of yourselves.
And his doctorate happens to be in podiatry. We want to start a discussion with talking about strengthening of the foot. So a lot of times people never think about that in the piece of the puzzle of what we need to build strength in. And there's a lot of deficits that come from that. So this sounds a little funny, but if you didn't need to be in a wheelchair and you sat in a wheelchair for, a decade or two, your body would change. You would atrophy, a lot of deficiencies would develop, right? So it's important to kind of talk about that analogy a little bit, because that's essentially like what wearing supportive footwear is. You actually cannot use the foot that has some of the most number of bones and muscles in the body, okay? You're basically putting it in this coffin, is what we use in the barefoot world a lot to speak of. But we're doing the same thing as putting your body in that wheelchair. So it's a really important thing to understand, because once we decide that we are going to strengthen and actually use that foot, you can't just jump out of the wheelchair and start running a race or doing squats. You have to build your resilience to that. And I want to cover that, because what I don't want you to do is just jump to, okay, I'm going to go shoeless, or I'm going to go run a marathon and just eliminate a shoe, or go to a barefoot style shoe directly. But it's really important that we do develop that strength and resiliency, because that's going to affect everything upstream throughout your body to some manner. So people are constantly fighting back problems, hip problems, knee problems, ankle mobility problems, okay? And the root, a lot of times, is the fact that we've got a weak foot that we're not able to actively control. So spending time out of a shoe and actually learning and strengthening the muscles in that foot and being able to use it appropriately is going to allow us to achieve that end goal and improve our overall impact on our body.
Yeah, Chris is absolutely right. Unfortunately, in America and most other industrialized societies, we're taught that we need arch support. We're taught that we need heel elevation. We're taught that we need cushioning. Most of the shoes aren't even made the shape of our natural foot. So Chris and I are going to go over some of the concepts and how do we develop strong feet, but overwhelmingly, one thing that you're going to want to be careful about is what you're putting on your feet. So heel elevation, coupled with a feature built into most athletic shoes in the toe box called toe spring, over lengthens those very same muscles that Chris and I are going to talk about today. When they're over lengthened, they can't contract properly. They get weak, like Chris is mentioning, they atrophy, they go to sleep, and then basically we find ourselves at the mercy of putting something up under dysfunctional feet, a wheelchair up under a dysfunctional body. This is not the way you want to do this. There's a much better way of doing this, and Chris and I are going to cover it for you today.